Welcome to Honestly Rated, and today we'll be talking about your favorite blender, Bad Juju. For me, Bad Juju is probably the most forgettable villain used in Imaginators. I don't know why, I think it's just the case that I never really cared for her. So today we're going to change that by taking a look at our overall gameplay and design to really figure out a real good standing on her and maybe even push the Bad Juju agenda a little bit more if she turns out good. But before we jump into all that, let me tell you how Bad Juju became a sensei. As the name suggests, Bad Juju's always been a bad person in Skylands, and was also the right-hand sorceress for Golden Queen. But that all came to a change when she got captured. Reason being is when Bad Juju got captured, she decided to conjure up something that she wasn't maybe ready for, and that was a son named Juju Jr. And because of Juju Jr., Bad Juju didn't want to be a bad role model for her son, so ended up asking Eon if she can get a second chance and become more of a hero, to be a better role model. And luckily for her, the swashbuckling sensei spot hadn't been fulfilled yet, so she became a sensei and started training up the Skylanders to help out in the fight, which is pretty cool, and I actually really do like the story. One last thing is that if you want to see your Skyline potentially on Honestly Rated next, all you gotta do is leave it down in the comments. There's a big playlist of every single one that I've done if you want to see more in the description. And if you want to stay up to date, these come out every single Saturday, but the most helpful way of doing it is subscribing and joining the community. So, yeah. With all that said and done though, let's go jump into Bad Juju and see how much she can really do. Starting off for Bad Juju, we have Whirling Blades and Juju Jr., which has actually a pretty unique function, so I think I'll go over him first. If we look at Junior himself, he is a projectile that knocks back enemies at a pretty medium range. He does have a few kinks to him where sometimes when throwing him out, he doesn't actually knock anything back or doesn't go as far at all, and this ends up just kind of being a waste of a person, just because the move does take a little bit to actually perform. But again, if you get him out, you get to have that knockback, and when calling him back in, he also has that same knockback again. So he's kind of a boomerang of sorts, but he does also have a secondary use, and that is changing up how Bad Juju kind of plays. The way he's able to do this is by giving Bad Juju two different forms, one that is defensive and one that's more damaging. When Junior is connected to Bad Juju, she'll take less damage, but when Junior's out to play, she'll actually deal more damage, and it's honestly the easiest way to kind of see it, because when you have Junior on you, you do roughly 33 damage per swing. But when Junior's off to play, she does 46. And honestly, it is a pretty cool thing to see, because even if you don't really realize it, it really tailors the player to tell them like, hey, using this move is very beneficial to you. And it really gets people to kind of combo between the two moves and really make sure they don't really focus on one move separately. Which I guess I haven't explained her other move, which I guess I'll do now. But again, very cool concept, and it's very nice and helps players use all sides of moves instead of just focusing on one. And that other move I want to mention is the Whirling Blades. Now they are just a simple primary 1-2-3 hit move, but they do add on a pretty good pushback. Not to the pushback like Junior does, where it's like a full blast, but just a simple pushback with the blades themselves. And the reason I find these to be pretty good is that, especially for a physical character, keeping your space but still being close is very necessary. So having a physical character have a pretty nice kind of pushback on characters to just kind of guarantee that that space is not being too close but also not too far is always nice. So something to mention, and probably will get better with other upgrades. So let's get on to them. The next two up is Windy Wail and Snack Attack. Windy Wail is just a damage upgrade in two different type of ways, one for when it actually hits the initial enemy, and now a Gust of Wind will also fly out of Junior that also does damage. Also, it does like 60, and it's pretty damaging. If you can hit a couple other enemies, it can hit the initial enemy you're flying back if they don't go too far. It's a pretty good little upgrade. But the major thing here is actually going to be our Snack Attack, where we can feed Junior bolts of lightning, and I find that pretty cool. It's a little bit of a callback from Trap Team, where you would use thunder to zap enemies, because, you know, we're not a sorcerer anymore, but we still got a little bit in there with our swashbuckler, and it's a very great move. It does 130, which, again, like, Bad Juju herself, when having Junior on, is only doing 30, so it's a very big jump in damage comparatively to everything else she has. And it's a very great move, and you can use it when he's right next to you, and you can use it when it's far away from you, and the damage also scales if it's farther away and you don't have him with you and you're not in your defensive form. It's a really great move. I find it pretty fun, and it's a very big area of damage, so you can kill things honestly pretty fucking fast. So pretty cool. I don't expect too many upgrades on this because it's really good as it is. Next two moves being towards Bad Juju, we have Airspeed Velocity and Tornado Slash. Airspeed is a very weird move, not because like it doesn't make sense, it's more of like, when the fuck are you going to use it? Airspeed allows you to go faster when you're not attacking at all. And like, let's go through the scenarios here, right? let's say you're going against a boss battle. I guess there are some points where you're not attacking. Then, yeah, I guess you go in a level. I guess, again, there's some points you're not attacking. But if you go get, like, boxes for coins and stuff, that's technically you attacking, so you lose out on your speed. Then, when you're fighting, I hope you're attacking. I don't know how you could do a pacifist run, but, you know, good on you if you can. But you're probably attacking, so I just don't really get the main use out of this one. The only thing that's really here is that tornado spin, which is honestly a pretty good move. And again, it has a really nice balance between close and far. It allows you so when you kept pressing your primary slash button, you will just spin. And it does actually the same amount of damage that your normal slash does. It's not like weaker in any sense, so that's pretty good in itself. But it also, again, keeps a pretty nice distance between you and the enemy to make sure that if an enemy is going to hit you, you'll see it enough time and be able to scoot on out of there. Because Bad Juju is not slow in general. But again, I just don't get the airspeed thing. Again, if you know a time where airspeed has helped you as a Bad Juju player, let me know. Because I don't see myself ever getting to be able to use this thing and be like, oh yeah, that was all airspeed right there. Onto the Mother Nature path, which is going to be dealing with Bad Juju more than Junior with Static Shock and a Storm of Blades. Starting off with Storm of Blades, it is a damage increase just to your primary attack and to the tornado attack that comes after it. It is honestly pretty good. When you have Junior, you're now doing 43, and without Junior, you're doing 60. So anytime you put anybody in that little tornado blender that she has, they are completely screwed. It is very fast at killing. It is insano. And to even add on to more damage, anytime you hit an enemy now, you get a little bit of a static shock to hit any enemy that is near them. It doesn't actually make them do like that little you know, like when someone actually gets shocked and they get like stunned for a little bit, all it simply does is just a little bit of like a 19 damage add-on, but it's pretty nice. Think of it as like a trampoline when you touch that metal part and it shocks you, except this one's a lot more deadlier. I think even like a lot more deadlier because I don't think anybody's ever died to one of those shocks. I might be wrong. I don't fucking know. The last thing we have here is going to be a cuttercatastophe, which honestly, that's probably the best pronunciation I've got over 10 attempts, so you're going to stick with that one. And let me tell you about it, it's not too crazy. Anytime you finish off your tornado move, you throw out blades, and there's a lot of them. There is the biggest potential to hit enemies, so it's not very hard to hit anybody with it, and it does like 50 damage, so it's not bad, but overall, nothing too crazy that we have seen from Bad Juju yet. And honestly, overall for this whole path, it's not bad. I do enjoy it. It's definitely very strong, but it kind of loses a little bit of what I think about Bad Juju trying to be, which is, you know, a very much duel-like character like Popo and Nana from Smash Bros. But it kind of loses sight of that because, well, Bad Juju becomes such a great character with the damage increase, the static shock killing things. I don't really see myself using Junior that much anymore. And again, you can use it for the defense and the even more damage buff to it. But honestly, with like 43, you kill things honestly pretty quickly on hard. Nightmare, probably a whole different thing, right? But on hard, you kill things still pretty quickly. So, I don't know. Hopefully the bottom path that's going to be focused a lot more around Junior kind of puts back what I personally wanted to see of Bad Juju. And the path is called the Voodoo That You Do, which is a little bit of a weird one, especially when we're talking about a child, but we have Child Protection and Voodoo Curse as our first two moves. And honestly, these do very nice wonders for that teamwork I really wanted to see in Bad Juju and Junior. Starting off with Child Protection, it allows you anytime you pull Junior back from being out from playing, you'll gain an invincibility buff. And it's roughly 3 seconds long. It is a little bit shorter just because it does take a little bit if you recall Junior himself from a long distance away. But if you do just pick him up off the ground, honestly, those 3 seconds are pretty good to kill a big crowd, maybe do a lot of damage to a very big enemy, or maybe even kill one of those damn sheeps that fucking slow you down. I hate them. I wish they would never exist. But nonetheless, it's a very great one. And again, it really utilizes the duality, and it really benefits both of them. And another cool thing is that now anytime Junior hits an enemy with him, as him physical self, or that little white gas that comes after it, he will be able to put a curse on enemies that when hitting them will damage another person that has the curse too. So you realistically need 2 enemies for this to work, but that is also pretty cool and very great, and I enjoyed that, and this is definitely the path that I probably will choose. But we still have one more. Maybe they shit the bed on it. I highly doubt it though, because I like these two so much. Then last up we have is the main attraction, not by my words, but by the game's words, and honestly, it's a pretty good move, so I can see why it's the main attraction. Instead of allowing us to push back enemies when we hit them, they actually pull in enemies. And, you know, for some, even for me, I definitely thought that, you know, it's going to take away from something that I enjoyed. I definitely said in the beginning that I didn't think that, you know, pushing back enemies was actually pretty good. But honestly, I actually think pulling in enemies is such a more beneficial thing for Bad Juju. Even when you hit enemies, they'll still do the flying animation, and they will still have that knockdown effect, so that's already pretty good. Pulling in enemies allows for that Thunderbolt and the Soul Gem, which I won't mention yet, and it just honestly adds a lot more beneficial value than just pushing back one single enemy and then just having him sit there and not being able to hit with his Thunderbolt. I definitely think it's a smart idea, and you also even have that white little gust that comes out, the Wailing Wind, that we had an upgrade from the primary path. So honestly, with all these things said and done, this is probably going to be the only time I ever say getting rid of a pushback is actually a lot better, because pulling in enemies honestly just works a lot more. But like I said, the Soul Gem even affects this too, which let's go onto that now so I can show you what I mean. And for the Soul Gem, we have Overeating. Just like Junior said, it is his favorite snack, so why not give it to him just a little bit more by constantly pulverizing this guy with a bunch of lightning. And by the end of it, whenever you really want to quit, he'll explode and dealing 173. It's the most damaging thing that we have, and it's a good move. And that's why I also personally believe that that pull-in move works a lot in his favor, because when you have a large group of enemies, it could be a little hard to really try to get them all in one single place. But if you do a pretty well-timed throw with Junior, everything will get sucked in. You can do this right after, hit everything for 173. Some things will get cursed, you know. Like, dude, I'm telling you, the bottom path, honestly, is probably the way to go. But I'll explain that more with our rating, which, honestly, you probably can tell is going to be a pretty good one. And just because I do want to cover everything, I do have Sky Chi Power, which is Harnessing Havoc, where you put a Junior on a leash, and yeah, you just kind of move around with them, and he just kind of does his own thing. It's pretty weak. It's nothing I really care for. I don't really take these into consideration. But then there is a final blow that does a massive amount of damage with knockback and everything like that. It's whatever. I definitely think it's the weakest one I've seen so far. I forget which one I've said that also. I don't know if that blows it out of the water, but it definitely isn't strong, at least in the whole sector of things. But it is funny, I can't lie. So, yeah, now on to the rating. Alrighty, so after taking a look at Bad Juju and Juju Jr., I am ready to give you their rating. And honestly, I'm going to be giving them the rating of a 4.5 out of 5. And you might be asking me, hey, weren't you just glazing the fuck out of Bad Juju? Where did that little sliver go? And honestly, that little sliver went away with the top path. It wasn't bad. Let me say this. The top path isn't bad. You can pick it. I think you can pick either or, and I think you might have a okay time with the top one. And the reason I'm saying that is because I think Bad Juju herself is very much a way better character when you have Junior involved. And Junior himself is someone that I really feel like should be incorporated, but that whole top path with Bad Juju kind of made me feel like I didn't need to use Junior that much, and that's not good. We're trying to be a good mother here. So honestly, the bottom path really utilizing Junior a lot more to benefit Bad Juju herself and Junior himself to really make sure you're engaged in the content of who you're playing as is a lot better than the top one. And again, even when I was playing that top path, I really just kind of let him go out, and I never really wanted to bring him back in because I really wanted that damage buff so I could really rack up the most amount of damage, which realistically is that whole top path. It's just really racking up damage. So honestly, just because of it, concept-wise, I think the top path isn't great in the slightest, just because, again, it takes away from what I really think Bad Juju and Juju Jr. are trying to be. But other than that, I think the top path is good for damage. I definitely think it's probably better for nightmare runs, maybe than the bottom path. Maybe. I think I put some good evidence out there of why the bottom path is very good. But, you know, you let me know if you ever play Juju in a nightmare run or some sort, because I would like to know how she kind of accepts with the whole level designs and stuff like that. But with that, that is my honest rating on Bad Juju. Thank you guys for watching all the way through. Let me know what you think about Bad Juju. Do you think she is good as a swashbuckler, or maybe do you like to see her as a sorcerer, fully fleshed out? If you want to see more videos, again, there's that playlist in the description. And if you loved watching this video so much and you see yourself coming back a lot, why not subscribing? If you're not, it would help me out a lot, and it would, again, show the support very well. But with all that said and done, I hope you guys have a great day, and I hope to see you and everybody else for the next Honestly Rated next Saturday. Peace.